Welcome back, folks. My name's Shane. Welcome to 2020 as well. Happy New Year, everybody. Thanks again for the support in 2019. It's been fantastic. I hope you had a safe and happy New Year and all that kind of stuff. And if you're a muso and you did a gig, please post in the comments below. Or even if you got a new guitar for Christmas or you spoiled yourself with something, post down there as well. Today's video, we're going to cover the top 5 most ridiculous things you'll find on an electric guitar in 2020. Here we go. So the first thing I have to add to this list is painted on F-holes, and this looks ridiculous on many guitars out there. It doesn't look too bad on a couple that I've seen, but there's so many that look just absolutely ridiculous, including guitars from Gretsch, Ibanez, Gibson, Epiphone. So many brands do this, and it just looks crazy. Some of the more ridiculous ones you'll see on screen, and it really makes me shake my head. It's just an absolutely useless feature. And in some of these cases, it would look much better without the painted on F-holes. And if I can, I'll Photoshop one before and after with and without the ridiculous painted on F-holes. Let me know what you think of them in the comments. I just have no time for painted on F-holes. I think they look pretty much ridiculous on a guitar, especially for guitars that are solid body that don't even require any kind of F-hole or fake F-hole to sort of fit the mood of the guitar or the style. I just think it looks crazy. Let me know what you think. This next one might be the most ridiculous thing on this list. Number 2 is artist signature guitars, where you actually get way less than you would if you just bought one of the regular guitars. And there's no example better than the Gretsch Malcolm Young guitar. Now, I know there's going to be a lot of AC/DC fans and probably some people that will disagree with this, but I think this is the most ridiculous guitar I've ever seen in person. The fact that it's missing both the neck and middle pickup might be kind of cool for Malcolm Young, but I think you're getting absolutely stooged if you buy this guitar instead of buying something that actually has 3 pickups. Odds are you're paying more for this guitar that actually has less. And this is crazy. I would never buy a guitar that's missing 2 pickups. A single pickup guitar is good, but I don't want to have the holes where the other pickup should be in the guitar. I just think this is maybe one of the worst signature guitars I've ever seen from any company, and they expect it to be taken seriously. Let me know what you think of this one. For me personally, I think this is a bit of a joke. Number 3 on the most ridiculous guitar features is a little bit of a 2-in-1, and I'm going to explain why. So I'm a huge fan of a Fender Telecaster. It's pretty much my main guitar. This is my old 52 reissue, and I've got it loaded with a set of Joe Barton, Danny Gatton pickups. And if they were good enough for Danny Gatton, they're way too good for a guy like me. But one of the things I always do when I get a Telecaster, which isn't that often, but I just bought another one recently and I thought I'd add this to the list, is this. The first part is this jack. This jack totally sucks. Oh, actually, this one's really good. But the cup style jack you get on a traditional 50 style Telecaster, you take it out and you throw it in the bin and you replace it with an electro socket one, which looks like that. This is so much better. I did a video maybe, I don't know, 8 years ago or something, and I'll leave a link up in the cards if I can find it, about how I replaced this. It's not once given me any grief. So the original one that just sort of has one nut holding it in comes loose all of the time. You might be able to sort of lock it in there if you know how to do that, but the easiest thing is just to replace it with one of these. They cost about $5. I don't know why Fender just aren't putting these on their guitars, irrespective of the aesthetic of the rest of the guitar. You know, this one has been changed quite a bit. I've modded it over the last 10 years, but I also have one of the new original series ones. And I just think this jack would have made the world of difference to any Telecaster that's going for that 50s vibe. It's definitely a huge upgrade. The second thing I'm going to throw in this sort of number 3 is vintage frets. Vintage frets are horrible. So you might pick up a guitar in the store and think, hey, vintage frets actually feel pretty good. There's a couple of different types, but the ones I'm talking about are those really, really low ones. And if I can find some pictures, I'll leave them on screen as well. So I had these replaced with stainless steel 6105s, which are kind of thin and a little bit taller. And man, it's just made the world of difference to the playability of the guitar. I can play up higher, I can bend easier, and just everything about these are better because they won't wear out. I wore these out in the first 5 years of playing this guitar a lot at gigs. So vintage frets for me, anytime I'm presented with a guitar with vintage frets, I usually pass because I know if I play it a lot, it won't last long. If you're a light sort of rhythm player, you might get way more use out of it than me. Being that I'm quite heavy-handed and I dig in a lot when I do my bends and all that, I just wore through them like butter. They really just didn't stand the test of time. Number 4 of the most ridiculous things you'll find on an electric guitar is overkill when it comes to not only switches, but just controls that aren't functional. And so many companies are guilty of this. Now, I'm going to show you some of these on screen as well, but there's a PRS Custom 24. It's the John Mayer Signature Edition one, and that's got 5 different toggle switches. How many do you really need? I just find like little switches like that are just horrible to use when you're in the, if you're playing live. The last thing you want to do is try to remember different combinations of switches. I'm sure if you only had that one guitar, you'd be able to get lots out of it. But for me personally, I think that's way overkill. Thankfully, though, that one only has 1 volume control and 1 tone control. Some of the ones I've found have multiple volume controls and multiple tone controls, which gets way too confusing. I really feel like most guitars can just benefit from 1 tone control, and that's it. I don't care if it's a Strat, a Tele, a Flying V, or a Les Paul. You realistically don't need more than 1 tone control. I just don't use them personally, but that's just me. So let me know in the comments if you think you really need 2 tone controls on a guitar with 2 humbuckers, for an example. That's why I like the Flying V so much. 2 volume controls, 1 tone control, and a 3-way toggle switch, and you're done. Now, Fender are guilty of this as well. A lot of the Jazzmasters have those little controls that are sort of circular, and they sit under or almost flush to the actual pick guard. So to use those, it's an absolute nightmare. You can't get any purchase on it with your fingers, which means it's fiddly, it's annoying. If you have to roll one forward or back really quickly and you're playing a gig, yeah, good luck with that. There's so many of these like almost comical guitars as well, which I've found that have up to about 7 or 8 different toggle switches. I'm like, man, this is crazy. Now, given some of these might be custom guitars, there's also plenty of off-the-shelf guitars that, in my opinion, just have way too much crap on them to be that functional. I always say this with pedals, the more controls it has, the harder it is to get a good sound. Before we get to number 5, I wanted to put in a very honorable mention, and this could have easily have made the list had it not been for the one that I've put in, and this is reverse headstock guitars. Now, this is purely a visual thing. There's no benefit at all to having a reverse headstock guitar. I can see why a lot of people would want to sort of mimic the old Hendrix thing. I think he was one of the first maybe iconic guitar players to flip a guitar up the other way, have that reverse headstock. I know Jackson and many other guitars these days do that, but back when this was starting to be a thing, I'm pretty sure Hendrix was the main influence for people wanting to have that. But, I've got a Harley Benton Deluxe Tele with a reverse headstock. I still haven't changed the strings on this. I know it's going to be a nightmare trying to get my head around doing it the reverse way. So I see no benefit to a reverse headstock on a guitar other than it looks cool, which kind of ties into number 5. Number 5 on this list, without question, has to be relic guitars. Now, I did this myself, so go easy on me. This was my first job, and I've had so many mixed comments on not only how this looks, but people just going, why did you do that to a guitar? Now, I'm not one of those guys that's super precious with my instruments. I go out and play live. I use my instruments. I don't want to just drag them around the ground and all that kind of thing, but I did this because I've got 2 of them. And I thought, you know what? I'm just going to relic one and see how it feels. What inspired me to do this was the fact that the relic guitars from Fender and some of the other brands as well have really beautiful feeling necks. So that's why I wanted to give this a go. But by far, a relic guitar is probably the most pointless thing in the world in terms of it not attributing to anything either functional or audible. It just doesn't really do anything other than how the neck feels. If you haven't played a relic guitar, go pick one up. Even if you don't like the aesthetic of it, I guarantee you may actually fall in love with the proper ones. Not my butchered one here, but if you pick up a good Fender custom shop or something like that, the necks feel really, really great, even at the expense of all the other sort of crap that's going on with the body and all the other relicking. But by far, the most diversive thing, and maybe the most pointless thing in terms of just functionality, is relicking guitars or relic guitars. It just doesn't seem to attribute really much to it other than the visual. Thanks again for watching, folks. This is Shane. So odds are I've probably missed something that you're going, where's this in the list? So if I have done that, post down below and I'll pin the most relevant post. This is just the stuff that I've seen either come into the channel or stuff that I've tried at guitar shops, or stuff that I've owned and seen and gone, why are they still doing this, man? The painted on F-holes are just like the craziest thing ever. It just serves no purpose. It really serves no purpose at all, whereas an actual F-hole will do something to the guitar. Painted on one does nothing. It's just useless. It's arguably as useless as having less, like a relic job on a guitar. It doesn't really do anything to the tone. It could make the tone breathe more, whatever they say. Makes the wood breathe more. Yeah, right. good luck with that. So painted on air files are right up there with some of the most ridiculous things you'll ever see. If I did miss something, let me know in the comments below. Thanks again for watching. My name's Shane. Happy New Year again, and I will catch you on the next video. See ya.